NBA Pick and Pod. I'm Dawson Shine, and I am your host. As always, trying to be a little more consistent with these shows. It definitely hasn't gone the way I want it to normally, but we're getting better. And I'm coming at you with some big, big storylines this Sunday morning. It's raining outside. There is nothing better to do than just talk NBA. First thing I want to talk about today is the recent passing of Fab Melo, who was actually a Celtics draftee back in the 2012 draft. He played for Syracuse for 2 years, and although his numbers weren't good and he bounced around the D League for a couple of years, it's still sad to hear that he died. He was down in Brazil playing for the Novo Basquete Brazil League, which is basically a professional league down there, after he had opted out of playing in the D League any longer in 2014. And they say that he died at the age of 26 from a heart attack. And I think that's just a very sad thing to hear from a young player who may not have panned out in the NBA, but you still never want to see someone die that young from something as uncommon as a heart attack. The facts aren't completely out with the story. No one knows exactly the cause of death. They're just speculating, and so am I at this point. But definitely thoughts go out to his family. And as a Celtics fan, I watched him play, especially in the D League. He showed some promise, just didn't pan out in the NBA. And it's very sad to see that his dreams end so abruptly at the age of 26. Moving on to some more lighthearted things, definitely want to talk about Kevin Durant going home to OKC last night. They had some incredible shirts on. They had Coward shirts with obviously a K replacing the C. So you had Coward with K and D at the end of it. Incredible marketing. And the game itself, although it didn't end up being as close as people may have wanted, was definitely as intense as it could get, especially for the crowd. There was boos right off the tip, and Kevin Durant was showered in them. I mean, after spending 8 years with this team, of course the fans felt like they had a traitor in front of them. And unfortunately for the fans, they had to leave early because it was a blowout. 130 to 114 victory from the Golden State Warriors. Durant had 34 points team high, and he had a very, very long dagger three right in Russell Westbrook's face about 3 minutes ago that basically put the game out of reach. There's obviously a lot of build-up to this game, and people were wondering what the crowd was going to do, whether Chesapeake Bay Arena was going to have any tribute videos, and there was nothing like that. There was just boos all around. No one was happy with him. It's pretty ridiculous that they didn't give him any videos, but obviously the animosity continues. I mean, fans are going to be fans. They're a little emotional. One thing that's pretty funny, though, afterwards, the ESPN interviewer talked to Durant, and he responded saying that he thought the boos would be a little louder. To become one of those guys who they boo is kind of fun, so I have to embrace it. It's interesting to see Durant actually taking on this role as one of the most hated players in the NBA right now, even by a former fan base that used to love him. And obviously on the other side of the ball, Westbrook tried his best to carry this Thunder team to a victory, but he just can't do it. He dropped 47 points on 26 shots, 14 of 26 shooting, 11 rebounds, 8 assists. He did have 11 turnovers, but I mean, when you drop 47 points and 8 assists, what more can you possibly do? Cantor was great emotional support from the bench after breaking his hand punching a chair, and this team just can't do it without him and without Durant even. It's pretty tough. So you watched Durant light up the Thunder for the third time this season. They're winning by an average of 23 points a game, and Durant is putting up 37 points a game against the Thunder this season. I mean, when you talk about coming back with a vengeance, Durant takes that seriously. God damn. It was definitely still a fun game to watch, though. I'm obviously downplaying the fact that it was a blowout, but Westbrook and Durant went at it. Westbrook shoving him early in the first quarter off of a pick, leaving Steph Curry wide open for a three, but that's beside the point. Being petty is more important than playing defense to Westbrook at times, but he definitely shows that. I mean, Westbrook was actually jawing at him at one point, and Durant responded just saying, "You're losing," and then went back to his bench, laughing it off. So it seems like Westbrook is trying to antagonize, but Durant's having none of his shit. Durant and the Warriors are just too good. They're on another level compared to the Thunder. And unfortunately, Westbrook's competing for a playoff spot and for some dignity to return to the Thunder franchise. Durant's competing for a championship. It's just, I don't know. I'm sick of seeing Durant in this situation where he can succeed while leaving a team like the way he did. I mean, if you imagine the other way around, it could be Durant, Westbrook, Cantor, and Steven Adams competing against Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, and Draymond Green. That's a solid matchup. That could be a matchup where they might go 7 games in a playoff series, and Thunder could be up 3-1 in. Oh, they were actually. My bad. That was last year. Memory fades me a little bit. Anyways, we're gonna move on from this because I'm gonna get frustrated as all hell. Durant crushed the Thunder again because the Thunder can't compete with a super team that is created through great drafting and ridiculous contract adjustments. Another player who's lighting it up like Durant, James Harden. He dropped 40 points in 3 quarters on the Suns, and the poor Suns lost 133 to 102. The Rockets never trailed in this game, nor should they have. The Suns are the second worst team in the NBA. The Rockets are the third best. They moved on to be 40-17 on the season. They only got 1 game left before the All-Star break, and they are going strong. Last year at the All-Star break, they were 27-28, and their interim coach, JB Bickerstaff, who, if you're a Rockets fan, you remember very well as being a decent coach, but not good. Yeah, he said his team was broken at that time last season. Right now, this team with Mike D'Antoni and James Harden running the offense is running like a well-oiled fucking machine. Oh, I love watching them play. They're so quick-paced. They score so many points, shoot so many threes, and nothing is broken now compared to last year. They are third in the Western Conference right now with a chance to catch up to the Spurs eventually if the Spurs falter at any point in the season. And the interesting thing is that if you keep up with like Phil Jackson, who obviously everyone knows right now is the GM of the Knicks, but also used to be a famous NBA coach who won many, many championships, he has the theory that if you win 40 games before you lose 20 games, you're an actual championship contender. The Rockets are 40-17, so I think that really should put them in the conversation as a serious contender. You got 2 other teams that are potentials for making that 40 before 20, and that would be the Cavaliers and the Celtics. The Celtics are 35-19, so they'd have to win their next 5 games, 3 before the All-Star break, which look winnable with the 76ers, the Bulls, and the Mavericks, and then 2 afterwards, which I'm not too sure about just yet. And if they win those 5 games in a row, they could be 40-19 and do the same thing Phil Jackson said. And the Cavaliers need 3 more wins. They are 36-16. So they're 37-16, excuse me. So they're pretty close to that cusp too, and they'll probably reach that. But it definitely seems like a good marker. You got the Warriors, the Spurs, the Rockets, who are definites for 40 before 20, and then maybe the Cavs and the Celtics. That sounds like basically the pool of real contenders at the moment, with no one else being within reach except maybe the Clippers if they got healthy, but I doubt it because they're never healthy. So it definitely seems like a really good margin for the Rockets to reach. And with the 3rd seed in the West, they have their playoff home field advantage they want, and that's really all that matters for them at the moment. They're going to just keep working to try and catch up to the Spurs. Moving on from all this actual basketball nonsense that we all think is interesting, let's talk about the Knicks and the catastrophe of an organization that they are. They're run worse than the current Trump administration is, and that is saying something coming from my point of view. Like, what is Dolan doing up in the front office as the owner? Like, what the hell is he doing? Dolan, of course, has had issues with running a competent organization for the past 15 years. They've won 9 playoff games total in 15 years. That's ridiculously terrible. And if you've been watching the news at all this week, you'll know that Charles Oakley, former Knicks great, who helped them win 70 playoff games in his time there, was actually in one of the Knicks games. He was I almost just said playing, excuse me. He was attending, watching from the crowd a couple of rows behind James Dolan. When Dolan found out he was at the game, he tried to get security to remove him. 8 to 10 security guards came over to Oakley, started to provoke him, ask him to leave, put their hands on him when he got a little frustrated, and then aggressively took him out of the arena. And it was a very awkward and terrible situation for Oakley to be in, because this is a team that was supposedly his home, his team that he played for, and yet Dolan has him kicked out of the arena. Oakley was then arrested and charged with 3 counts of assault, and the Knicks stalwart went on a PR offensive on Thursday, saying the security came up to him at Dolan's request, Oakley believed, and he said he felt threatened when 8 to 10 security guards approached him, and that's why the incident turned a little violent. And most Knicks fans and players around the league are siding with Oakley on this instance. Dolan is a little baby who needs to shut up and stop. I mean, Oakley had chants throughout the stadium as he was getting pulled out. Knicks were chanting Charles Oakley at the next game and the next game, and they're all rallying behind him. People want to start boycotts against Dolan, all because he threw out Oakley because he has been known to speak out against the current administration organization of the Knicks. That's ridiculous. Shutting down dissent like that doesn't work. And obviously, Dolan then fired out with a PR response calling Oakley aggressive and abusive and maybe under the influence or alcoholic, which is ridiculous to claim from anyone like Dolan, who is himself a massive alcoholic and needs to get help anyways. Anyways, after that incidents happened, Dolan, fired the senior vice president for security, Frank Benedetto, on Friday, 2 days after this whole big clash on an embarrassing national TV scene. As Dolan said it on Friday, that was a situation where the person didn't work out, and this was probably the last straw. We weren't perfect here. Charles never should have made it to his seats, and that's on us, and we're doing things to remedy that, to make sure that doesn't happen again with anybody. So basically, they wanted to keep Oakley out of the stadium permanently, and they will from now on. But on top of that, does Dolan seem like a hypocrite to you? Does he seem like an absolute pussy? Because to me, he does. I don't know. It might just be me. But Oakley was abusive, was maybe under the influence of something, and was aggressive in his assault of these security guards. Yet Dolan fires the head security guard for his handling of the situation. Seems a little fishy to me. I'm just not feeling Dolan's side of the story. And I think that he needs to be assaulted, really. I would have loved to see Oakley actually get a couple of hits in on him, because that would have been fun to watch. A 6'8 Oakley enforcing himself on Dolan. And as teams and players speak out, it's really interesting to watch how this free agency period is going to go. As Reggie Miller put it on Twitter, if you're a free agent to be, why would you play for an owner who treats the past greats like this, or a president who stabs star player in the back? That star player being Carmelo Anthony, and that president of basketball operations being none other than Phil Jackson, who has been standing out and talking out against Carmelo Anthony all season and implying that he should be traded if he waives the no trade clause, and that he should get out of New York. And it's not just free agents, but players on the team probably don't want to stay. Why would you want to re-sign to this absolutely mess of an organization? The Kings look better run. Think about that. I'm going to give you a second. Okay, back to the story. Just imagine if Porzingis, that big third pick in the draft, guy that's showing to be, really promising, might actually be a future cornerstone to build around. What if he takes the qualifying offer just to become a unrestricted free agent faster? That would cripple an organization. They would lose all hope. And I think that Reggie Miller is really going after them, and he should be. Because this organization needs to be shaken up and down. They have some bad eggs, and it's not Carmelo Anthony, and it's not Charles Oakley. I'm sure you can piece together who I'm talking about. Well, that's going to be it for the show today. The Knicks are an absolute disaster of an organization, and everything must be right with the world if that's the case. Thanks for listening, everyone. This is NBA Pick and Pod. I'm Dawson Shine, signing off for this week.